My name is Madison. I'm 34, and nothing prepared me for the day I walked into my in-laws' house to find my 8-year-old daughter Lily on her hands and knees scrubbing the kitchen floor. Alone. While they took their real granddaughter to an amusement park. I adopted Lily when she was 3, already wounded by abandonment. But watching her small hands wringing out that dirty rag, I discovered a new kind of heartbreak, one caused by the people who should have protected her. Before I tell you how I discovered my daughter being treated like Cinderella, while her cousin got the princess treatment, let me know where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button if you've ever had to protect someone you love from family heartbreak. I never imagined motherhood would come to me through adoption. Growing up, I had the typical dream: meet someone, fall in love, have beautiful babies. Life had other plans. By 30, I was thriving professionally as a marketing executive at a major firm in Chicago, but my personal life hadn't followed the same trajectory. A series of failed relationships left me wondering if I'd ever find my person. Then I met Brian Williams at a charity gala. He was charming, successful, and shared my drive. Within a year, we were married, and I finally felt ready to start the family I'd always wanted. But after 2 years of trying and multiple fertility treatments, we received the devastating news that I couldn't have biological children. The diagnosis sent me into a depression that lasted months. It was Brian who first suggested adoption. "There are so many children who need homes," he said one night as we sat on our balcony overlooking the city. "Maybe this is the universe's way of bringing us to a child who needs us." His words lifted something in me, and suddenly I could see a new path forward. The adoption process was grueling. Mountains of paperwork, home studies, interviews, and waiting. So much waiting. Then one Tuesday afternoon, our social worker called. "There's a little girl 3 years old. Her name is Lily. Would you like to meet her?" I'll never forget the first time I saw her. She was tiny for her age, with dark curly hair and eyes that seemed too wise for someone so small. She didn't smile when we entered the room, just watched us carefully from behind a stuffed elephant she clutched like a shield. Her background broke my heart. Born to a mother with substance abuse issues, Lily had been removed from her home at 18 months after severe neglect. She'd bounced between 3 foster homes before becoming available for adoption. The social worker warned us about attachment issues, developmental delays, and potential behavioral problems. "She's going to need patience and specialized care," the woman explained, eyes serious over her clipboard. "Are you prepared for that level of commitment?" Brian squeezed my hand and nodded, but looking back, I should have noticed his hesitation. The first 6 months with Lily were beautiful but challenging. She woke screaming with nightmares, hoarded food in her bedroom, and had meltdowns that could last for hours. Each behavior was a window into her trauma, and we worked with therapists to help her feel secure. I scaled back my work hours, turning down a promotion to give Lily the stability she needed. Brian grew increasingly frustrated with the sacrifices. "I didn't think it would be this hard," he said one night after a particularly difficult day. 3 months later, he moved out. The divorce was finalized before Lily's 4th birthday. My relationship with Brian's parents, Jeffrey and Margaret Williams, had always been cordial but never particularly warm. They lived in a wealthy suburb about an hour outside the city, in the same neighborhood as Brian's brother James and his wife Veronica. James and Veronica had a daughter, Sophie, who was just 2 months younger than Lily. When Brian and I first started the adoption process, his parents were supportive in that distant, polite way of theirs. "How nice for you," Margaret had said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. After Brian left, their interactions with me became purely obligatory. At first, I tried to maintain the relationship for Lily's sake. I wanted her to have grandparents, family connections beyond just me. I'd take her to Sunday dinners at their sprawling colonial home, where Sophie would be running around in designer outfits while Jeffrey bounced her on his knee. The contrast in how they treated the girls was subtle at first. Sophie would receive elaborate gifts for Christmas, a custom playhouse, a child-sized electric car. Lily would get practical items, clothes, educational toys, always with the gift receipt attached. At family gatherings, Margaret would scoop Sophie up for cuddles while offering Lily a distracted pat on the head. They just don't know her as well, I reasoned to myself. They need time to build a relationship. I tried addressing it gently. Lily really looks up to you, I told Margaret once. It would mean so much if you could spend some one-on-one time with her. Of course, dear, she replied, but somehow that time never materialized. Then came the summer when everything changed. My company was launching a major new product, and as department head, I was pulling 16-hour days. My regular sitter had a family emergency, leaving me scrambling for childcare during a critical 2-week period. We'd be happy to take Sophie for a few days, Margaret offered during a family dinner. After an awkward silence, she added, and Lily too, of course. Despite my reservations, I was desperate. James and Veronica were also dropping Sophie off for the week due to a planned anniversary trip. The cousins would be together, and maybe this extended time would help the grandparents bond with Lily. Are you sure? I asked Margaret privately. Lily can sometimes be a handful. Nonsense, she replied briskly. We raised 2 boys. We can certainly manage 2 little girls for a week. As I packed Lily's suitcase, I went over everything she might need. Her special nightlight, the stuffed elephant she couldn't sleep without, her medication for occasional anxiety, her favorite books. You'll have so much fun with Grandma and Grandpa, I told her, trying to infuse my voice with an enthusiasm I didn't entirely feel. And you'll get to play with Sophie all week. Lily looked up at me with those serious eyes of hers. Will they like me more after I stay with them? Her question pierced my heart, and I should have listened to my instincts then. Instead, I hugged her tight and said, They already love you, sweetheart. This will just be a chance for everyone to have fun together. If only I had known what fun would mean for my little girl. The morning I dropped Lily off at the Williams house, Sophie was already there, running through the sprinkler in the perfectly manicured backyard. Margaret greeted her at the door with a distracted smile. Come in, come in. Sophie's just having a bit of fun before lunch. I helped Lily carry her suitcase inside. Where should we put her things? I asked. Oh, Margaret seemed momentarily flustered. I suppose the laundry room for now. We'll sort it out later. Jeffrey appeared from his study, giving Lily an awkward pat on the head. The little visitor has arrived, I see. Say hello to your grandfather, Lily, I prompted gently. Hello, Lily whispered, her body language shrinking. Sophie came bursting through the back door, trailing water and grass. Grandma, can we have ice cream after lunch? You promised. Margaret's face transformed with genuine warmth. Of course, darling. We have your favorite, chocolate chip. Is Lily staying for ice cream too? Sophie asked, noticing us for the first time. An almost imperceptible pause. If she'd like some, Margaret answered. I knelt down to Lily's level. I have to go to work now, sweetheart, but I'll call every night before bedtime, okay? And if you need me, you can ask Grandma or Grandpa to call me anytime. Lily nodded solemnly, clutching her elephant tighter. She'll be fine, Jeffrey assured me, already turning back toward his study. We've got plenty to keep them busy. That evening, I called as promised. Margaret answered and chatted for a few minutes about their day, how Sophie had helped make cookies, how they'd watched Sophie's favorite movie. Can I talk to Lily? I finally interrupted. Oh, of course. There was a pause, some muffled voices. Then Lily came on the line. Hi, Mommy. Hi, sweetie. Are you having fun? It's okay. Her voice was small. What did you do today? Sophie made cookies with Grandma. Did you make cookies too? A pause. I watched. Well, maybe tomorrow you can help too, I said, trying to keep my tone light. What else did you do? We watched Frozen. Sophie knows all the songs. That sounds fun. Did you have ice cream like Sophie mentioned? Another pause. Sophie did. I had fruit because Grandma said I was too hyper. A twinge of concern flared, but I dismissed it. Lily did sometimes get overexcited in new situations. Well, that's probably healthy anyway. Are you and Sophie having fun together? She has lots of toys here. Each night, the pattern continued. My calls revealed a steady stream of special experiences for Sophie, trips to the local pool, the children's museum, shopping for new summer clothes, while Lily seemed to be peripheral to these activities. By the third day, I received a text from Margaret with photos of the girls at the park. Sophie was front and center on the swings, beaming at the camera. In the background, I could just make out Lily sitting alone on a bench. Having a wonderful time with the girls, the text read. That night, Lily was even quieter on the phone. What did you do at the park today, sweetheart? I watched Sophie swing. Grandma said I couldn't because I might get my new shirt dirty. My friend Rachel came over that evening to drop off some dinner for me, knowing I was working late. As I showed her the park photos, her forehead creased. Madison, does this seem right to you? Why is Lily sitting by herself? I'm sure it's just one moment captured in the photo, I defended, even as doubt gnawed at me. They probably took turns. Rachel gave me a long look. You know, when my sister and I stayed with our grandmother, she definitely had favorites. It messed with my sister's head for years. The Williams aren't like that, I insisted, though my voice lacked conviction. They're just traditional. They need time to fully embrace adoption. It's been 5 years, Rachel pointed out. And Lily is 8 now. She notices everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. I pulled up the photo again, zooming in on Lily's small figure in the background. Her posture was resigned, shoulders slumped, watching her cousin having fun from a distance. I called the next morning before work. How's everything going? I asked Margaret, trying to sound casual. Wonderful. We're thinking of taking the girls to Adventure World tomorrow. Sophie's been begging to go on the new water slides they installed. That sounds fun. Is Lily excited too? Oh, well, Margaret hesitated. You know, Lily's been a bit difficult, very quiet, not really participating. We thought perhaps a day at home might be better for her. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. Difficult how exactly? Just not engaging. And she had a little tantrum yesterday when Sophie was playing with some toys. We had to have a talk about respecting other people's things. Those weren't Sophie's toys, I said carefully. Those were the Williams family toys in the playroom, right? For both girls? Well, yes, but Sophie knows how to treat nice things. Lily was a bit rough. The conversation left me deeply unsettled. I texted James, asking, casually, how the girls were getting along according to his parents. Great, from what Mom says, he replied. Sophie's having a blast. Says Lily is kinda weird though. Kids, right? I made a decision then. My portion of the project was nearly complete, and I could delegate the remaining tasks. I would surprise Lily the next day, show up early before they left for Adventure World and join them. Perhaps seeing the family dynamics firsthand would either alleviate my concerns or confirm that intervention was needed. I had no idea what I was about to walk into. The next morning, I wrapped up my work by 9 and drove straight to the Williams house. Their neighborhood was quiet, tree-lined streets with imposing homes set far back from the road. As I pulled into their circular driveway, I noticed only Margaret's car was present. Jeffrey's Mercedes and the family SUV they typically used for outings were gone. Strange. They weren't supposed to leave for Adventure World until 10. Perhaps Jeffrey was getting gas or running an errand before their trip. I knocked on the front door, but after a minute with no response, I used my emergency key. Hello? I called out as I stepped into the marble-floored entryway. Margaret? Lily? The house seemed unnaturally quiet. No TV sounds, no children's laughter. For a moment, panic seized me. Had they left early? Taken Sophie, but left Lily with a sitter? Then I heard it, the faint sound of water sloshing coming from the kitchen. I followed the noise, my heels clicking on the hardwood floors. The sight that greeted me froze me in place. There was my daughter, my 8-year-old Lily, on her hands and knees, scrubbing the kitchen floor. Her small hands were red and raw, submerged in a bucket of soapy water. She wore an oversized t-shirt that was soaked at the front, her curls pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was so focused on a particular spot on the tile that she didn't even notice me enter. "Lily!" My voice came out as a strangled whisper. She looked up, surprised but not particularly upset. "Mommy, you're early." She sat back on her heels, pushing sweaty hair from her forehead with the back of her wrist. I crossed the room and knelt beside her, not caring that my work pants were getting wet. "Sweetheart, what are you doing?" "Cleaning the floor." She said it so matter-of-factly, as if it were the most normal thing in the world for an 8-year-old to be scrubbing floors alone. "Where is everyone else? Where's Grandma and Grandpa? And Sophie?" "They went to Adventure World." "The water—" "Park Place!" She wrung out her rag and dunked it back in the bucket. "They—" "What?" I struggled to comprehend what she was telling me. "They left you here? Alone?" Lily nodded, returning to her scrubbing. "Grandma said I need to earn my keep while they take Sophie to Adventure World. I have to finish the kitchen, floor, then clean the guest bathroom and then fold the laundry." She recited the list with practiced precision. "Earn your—" I couldn't even finish the phrase, rage building inside me. "Show me what else Grandma told you to do." Lily stood, her knees imprinted with the pattern of the tile floor. She walked to the refrigerator where a notepad hung, filled with Margaret's precise handwriting. Lily's chores. 1. Sweep and mop kitchen floor. Clean guest bathroom, toilet, sink, mirror. 3. Fold laundry and dryer. 4. Dust living room. Organize toys and playroom. "Is there a list for Sophie too?" I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady. Lily shook her head. "Sophie doesn't do chores. Grandma says she's a guest." "And what are you?" Lily looked down at her pruned fingers. "I need to show I'm grateful they let me stay." My hands were shaking as I took out my phone and snapped photos of the list. The bucket. Lily's reddened hands. "Where have you been sleeping, sweetheart?" "In the laundry room. Grandma put a sleeping bag in there. Sophie gets the guest room because she needs a proper bed for her back." I took her hand. "Show me." She led me to the laundry room off the kitchen. Sure enough, a sleeping bag was rolled out in the narrow space between the washer and the wall. Her stuffed elephant sat propped against a small pillow. Her suitcase was pushed into a corner, still mostly packed. "And where are your things? Your clothes?" "Grandma said to keep them in my suitcase so they don't make a mess. Sophie has the dresser in the guest room." I took more photos, documenting everything as a cold fury built inside me. "Have you been alone like this before, while they took Sophie out?" Lily nodded, her expression still disturbingly matter-of-fact. "2 times. Once to the movies and once to get ice cream. Grandma said I didn't behave well enough to go." "What did you do wrong exactly?" Lily thought for a moment. "I spilled juice on the couch, and I asked too many questions during the movie they were watching." I pulled her into a tight hug, feeling her small body stiffen before gradually relaxing. "None of this is okay, Lily. None of this is your fault. We're going to pack your things right now." As I helped her gather her belongings, my phone chimed with a text. "Margaret. We'll be home around 4. Could you pick up dinner for everyone? Jeffrey is craving that Italian place on Main." They didn't even know I was here. They expected to come home to find Lily having completed her chores like some sort of servant with dinner waiting. I texted back, "No need. I'm at your house with Lily now. We'll all talk when you get home." 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, we took Sophie for a quick morning outing. Lily wasn't interested. We'll be home soon. I looked at my daughter, still obediently folding her clothes and placing them in her suitcase. Lily, did Grandma ask if you wanted to go to Adventure World? She shook her head. She told me last night that I needed to stay home and do my chores while they took Sophie. She said maybe if I'm good, I can go next time. I took a deep breath, tamping down the rage threatening to boil over. We're going to wait right here for Grandma and Grandpa to come home, and then we're going to have a very serious talk. Am I in trouble? Lily asked, her voice small. No, sweetheart. I brushed a curl from her face. You've done nothing wrong, but Grandma and Grandpa have a lot of explaining to do. The clock on the Williams' ornate mantel showed just past 1 when I heard cars pulling into the driveway. Lily and I were sitting at the kitchen table, her freshly washed and changed into clean clothes, a sandwich and apple in front of her that I'd made from the contents of Margaret's immaculate refrigerator. The front door burst open, and Sophie's excited voice echoed through the house. That was the best day ever! Can we go again tomorrow, Grandpa? Please? We'll see, Princess, Jeffrey's indulgent voice replied. Let's see what Grandma has planned. Maybe we can take you shopping for that new swimsuit you wanted, Margaret added. Their voices grew louder as they approached the kitchen, still unaware of our presence. Sophie appeared first, her hair wet and tangled, wearing a new Adventure World t-shirt and clutching a stuffed dolphin with the park's logo. She stopped short when she saw us. Aunt Madison, when did you get here? Look what Grandpa won for me. At the ring toss! Before I could answer, Margaret and Jeffrey entered, followed by James and Veronica. All 4 adults froze at the sight of us. Margaret recovered first, her hand fluttering to her throat. Madison, what a surprise! We weren't expecting you until the weekend. Clearly, I said, my voice calm despite the fury coursing through me. Jeffrey stepped forward, his businessman's instinct for damage control kicking in. We just took Sophie for a quick morning at the park. Lily wasn't feeling up to it. Really? I stood slowly. Because that's not what Lily told me. And it's certainly not what I saw when I arrived this morning. An uncomfortable silence fell. Sophie looked between the adults, sensing tension but not understanding it. Can I show Lily my new dolphin? She asked. Why don't you go upstairs and change into dry clothes, sweetheart? Veronica suggested, giving her daughter a gentle push toward the stairs. The grown-ups need to talk. Once Sophie was out of earshot, I turned to Margaret. Would you like to explain why I found my 8-year-old daughter alone in this house, scrubbing floors on her hands and knees? Margaret's cheeks flushed. You're making it sound worse than it was. We simply asked her to help with a few chores while we were out. A few chores? I pulled out my phone and read from the list I'd photographed. This isn't helping out, Margaret. This is treating a child like a servant and leaving her alone. In the house? She's 8 years old. She was perfectly safe, Jeffrey interrupted. We were only gone for a few hours. That's beside the point. My voice rose despite my efforts to remain calm. Why was Lily cleaning while Sophie was enjoying a day at a water park? Why is my daughter sleeping on the floor of your laundry room while her cousin gets the guest bedroom? James and Veronica exchanged uncomfortable glances. Mom, is that true? James asked. You made Lily sleep in the laundry room? Margaret's lips thinned. The sleeping arrangements were temporary. Sophie has special needs. No, she doesn't. Veronica interjected quietly. Sophie doesn't have any special needs, Margaret. Well, she's more accustomed to certain comforts, Margaret amended, shooting her daughter-in-law a reproachful look. I stepped closer to Margaret, keeping my voice low but intense. I want you to explain to me, right now, why you're treating these children so differently. Margaret's composure finally cracked. Because it's different with Sophie, she hissed. She's our real granddaughter. The kitchen fell silent. From the doorway came a small intake of breath. Lily stood there, having returned from the bathroom, her eyes wide and hurt. "Lily," I began, reaching for her, but she backed away. "It's okay, Mommy," she whispered. "I know I'm not real family." Her words broke something in me. I turned back, to Margaret, no longer bothering to hide my anger. "How dare you? How dare you make my daughter feel like she doesn't belong? She is every bit as real and as valuable and as worthy of love as Sophie or any other child." Jeffrey stepped forward. "Now, Madison, let's be reasonable. Of course we care about Lily, but you have to understand—" "No, you need to understand," I cut him off. "Lily is my daughter, not my adopted daughter, not my almost daughter, my daughter. And any family that can't treat her with the same love and respect they'd give to a biological child is not family we need in our lives." "That's a bit extreme," James finally spoke up, his tone placating. "I'm sure Mom and Dad didn't mean any harm. They're from a different generation." "Don't you dare make excuses for this," I snapped. "Would you be so understanding if it was Sophie sleeping on the laundry room floor while Lily got the princess treatment?" James looked away, answering my question without words. Veronica stepped forward, surprising me by touching my arm gently. "Madison, I had no idea this was happening. We dropped Sophie off this morning for the Adventure World trip. We thought Lily was going too." Margaret made a dismissive sound. "Lily needed to learn some responsibility. And frankly, she's been difficult all week, talking back, not following instructions." "She's 8, I exploded. "She's a child who's been treated like an unwanted houseguest in what should be her family's home." Lily tugged at my hand. "Can we go home now, Mommy?" she whispered. I knelt to her level. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going home right now." "You're overreacting," Jeffrey stated flatly. "If you'd just listen to our side, I've seen enough." I stood, picking up Lily's suitcase with one hand and holding her small hand with the other. "Lily and I won't be back. If any of you want a relationship with us in the future, it will be on completely different terms, with genuine respect for my daughter." As we walked toward the door, Margaret called after us. "Madison, don't be ridiculous. What will Brian say?" I turned one last time. "I don't care what Brian says. He gave up his right to an opinion when he walked out on his daughter, and make no mistake, she is his daughter, regardless of biology." We left them standing in the kitchen, Sophie peering curiously from the staircase, the new dolphin clutched to her chest. The drive home was silent for the first 10 minutes. In the rearview mirror, I could see Lily staring out the window, her expression unreadable. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" I finally asked. A single tear slid down her cheek. "Why don't they love me, Mommy?" And with that simple question, my heart shattered all over again. That night, after Lily had finally fallen asleep in her own bed, surrounded by her own things, I sat on the edge of her mattress watching her breathe. The moonlight filtered through her butterfly curtains, illuminating her face, peaceful now, but I couldn't forget the hurt in her eyes earlier. Around midnight, she began to stir, her small body twitching in the grip of a nightmare. I gently stroked her hair until she settled, then decided to check her backpack. We'd packed in such a hurry that I wanted to make sure we hadn't left anything important behind. In the side pocket, I found a folded piece of paper. Opening it revealed a crayon drawing, stick figures standing in front of a house. 4 figures were grouped together, holding hands. A tall man labeled Grandpa, a woman with exaggerated pearls labeled Grandma, a smaller figure with yellow hair labeled Sophie, and a man and woman labeled Uncle James and Aunt Veronica. Off to the side, separated by a considerable gap, stood 2 smaller figures. One was labeled Me, and the other Mommy. Around the main family group, Lily had drawn a circle in red crayon. The message was heartbreakingly clear. There was the real family, and then there was us, the outsiders. I clutched the drawing to my chest, tears flowing freely now. How long had she felt this way? How many subtle slights and dismissals had she endured before this week brought everything to the surface? My phone buzzed with a text notification. Margaret. I think you misunderstood the situation today. Lily was perfectly safe and learning valuable life skills. When you've calmed down, we should discuss this rationally. I didn't respond, but another text followed minutes later. Jeffrey and I love all our grandchildren. We just have different relationships with each of them. Again, I didn't respond, but saved the messages as documentation of their attitude. The next morning, Lily was quieter than usual at breakfast, pushing her cereal around the bowl rather than eating it. Do you want to talk about what happened, sweetheart? I asked gently. She looked up, her eyes serious. Grandma said some kids are born into a family and some kids are chosen. She said being chosen should make me extra grateful. I set down my coffee cup with deliberate care, fighting to keep my expression neutral. Lily, being part of a family isn't about being grateful, it's about being loved for exactly who you are. But Sophie doesn't have to be grateful. She gets to just be Sophie. That's because Grandma and Grandpa have confused ideas about family, I explained. They think biology, having the same blood, matters more than love. But they're wrong. Lily considered this, then asked the question I'd been dreading. Does Daddy think like Grandma and Grandpa? Is that why he left? How do you explain adult failures to a child without crushing their spirit? I chose my words carefully. Daddy loves you, but he wasn't ready for the responsibility of being a parent. That's about his limitations, not about you. But if I was Sophie, would he have stayed? The innocent brutality of her question left me momentarily speechless. No, sweetheart. The problem was never you. Some people just can't be what others need them to be, no matter who those others are. Later that day, my phone rang with Brian's number. I hesitated before answering, already anticipating the conversation. What the hell, Madison? He didn't bother with a greeting. My parents just called, extremely upset. What's this about you? Finding Lily cleaning and making a huge scene? I recounted the events exactly as they had happened, including the sleeping arrangements and Margaret's real granddaughter comment. His response left me cold. Look, my parents are old school. They probably just wanted Lily to learn some responsibility. They left an 8-year-old child alone in the house, Brian, and they're treating her differently from Sophie in ways that are damaging her self-esteem. You're being oversensitive. Lily comes from a different background than Sophie. Maybe she does need more structure and discipline. Are you serious right now? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Your parents are discriminating against your daughter because she's adopted and you're defending them. A long pause, then, maybe we should reconsider the arrangement. What arrangement? Lily's adoption. If this is causing so much stress, for everyone, maybe she'd be better off in a family that can give her more attention. There are plenty of couples looking to adopt. I cut him off, my voice shaking with rage. Let me be perfectly clear. Lily is my daughter. I am her mother. In every way that matters. The fact that you can even suggest something so monstrous shows exactly why you don't deserve to be in her life. I hung up, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped the phone. A small sound from the hallway made me turn. Lily stood there, her stuffed elephant clutched to her chest, eyes wide with fear. Mommy! Her voice was barely audible. Do I have to go back? Go back where, sweetheart? To the place before, if you don't want me anymore. I crossed the room in 3 strides and gathered her into my arms. Listen to me, Lily Williams. You are my daughter forever and always. There is no back. This is your home, and I am your mom, and nothing will ever change that. She buried her face in my shoulder, her small body shaking with sobs. Promise? I promise with every part of me. That afternoon, I called my boss and requested emergency family leave. To my relief, she was immediately supportive. Take whatever time you need, Madison. Family comes first. I also made an appointment with Lily's therapist, Dr. Amara, for the following day. When I explained what had happened, she immediately rearranged her schedule to see us. This type of rejection can trigger profound attachment issues, she explained, after meeting with Lily, especially for children with Lily's background. The discrimination by her grandparents reinforces her deepest fear, that she's somehow unworthy of love and belonging. How do I help her? I asked, fighting back tears. Consistency, reassurance, and honestly, distance from those who can't. Treat her with the respect she deserves. Dr. Amara's expression was serious. Children are resilient, but they need to feel safe. Right now, the Williams family doesn't feel safe to Lily. That evening, I received a surprising call from Veronica, James's wife. "Madison, I'm so sorry about what happened," she began, her voice low as if she was trying not to be overheard. "I had no idea they were treating Lily that way." "How could you not know?" I couldn't keep the accusation from my voice. "You were there dropping Sophie off." "We thought Lily was coming with them to Adventure World. Margaret told us she was getting ready." She paused. "Look, I'm not defending what they did. It was wrong on every level. But you should know, this isn't the first time." "What do you mean?" "Last Christmas, when you left Lily with them while you ran to the store, Margaret made her wrap all of Sophie's presents while Sophie watched holiday movies with Jeffrey." My stomach turned. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't see it happen. Sophie told me later. She thought it was weird that Lily had to work while she got to relax." Another pause. "There have been other incidents too. I've tried talking to James about it, but he just says his parents are old-fashioned." After hanging up, I sat in the dark living room, connecting dots I should have seen long ago. The way Lily would grow quiet after time with the Williams family. Her reluctance to visit. The small comments that should have been red flags. "Grandma says I eat too much dessert," or "Grandpa told me not to touch the nice things." I was broken from my thoughts by the doorbell. Looking through the peephole, I was shocked to see Jeffrey and Margaret standing there, Margaret clutching her designer purse like a shield. When I opened the door, Jeffrey immediately tried to step inside. I blocked the entrance. "This isn't a good time." "Don't be ridiculous, Madison." Margaret attempted to peer around me. "We've come to smooth things over. Where's Lily?" "Asleep, and I'd like her to stay that way." Jeffrey's business face slipped into place, the expression he used for difficult negotiations. "We understand you're upset, but this family dispute has gone far enough. We're willing to make an effort to be more inclusive with Lily." "Inclusive?" I repeated, the word tasting bitter. "She's not a diversity hire, Jeffrey. She's your granddaughter." "That's what we're trying to say," Margaret interjected. "We're willing to try harder with her. Maybe enroll her in some etiquette classes so she can learn how to behave properly in our home." I stared at her, momentarily speechless. "You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about Lily needing to change. This is about your prejudice." "Now that's unfair," Jeffrey's voice hardened. "We've opened our home to the girl. We're simply acknowledging that there are differences that need to be addressed." "The only difference is your treatment of her," I said flatly. "And until you can see that, we have nothing more to discuss." I began to close the door, but Margaret stuck her foot in the gap. "Brian agrees with us, you know. He thinks you're being unreasonable." Brian gave up his right to an opinion when he walked out on his daughter. I pushed the door firmly, forcing her to remove her foot. "Good night." As I locked the door, I could hear Jeffrey calling through it. "This isn't over, Madison. Family doesn't just walk away from family." I leaned against the door, his words echoing ironically in my mind. Family doesn't walk away from family, unless apparently that family was adopted. The next morning, while Lily was still asleep, I began researching adoption support groups. I needed to connect with other families who might have faced similar challenges. People who would understand what we were going through without me having to justify my daughter's place in our family. I found an online forum called Families by Choice and spent an hour reading through stories from other adoptive parents. So many of them resonated with our situation. Grandparents who couldn't connect with adopted grandchildren, extended family who made thoughtless comments, the constant need to defend their family's legitimacy. One post in particular caught my attention. Blood doesn't make a family. Love does. And sometimes the people who should understand that the most are the ones who fight against it the hardest. I created an account and shared our story, pouring out all the details I'd been holding inside. Within hours, dozens of responses flooded in, messages of support, shared experiences, and practical advice. One local mom, Diane, messaged me privately. "We have an in-person support group that meets every Thursday at the community center. You and Lily would be welcome to join us. Many of the kids have formed friendships, and it helps them to know they're not alone in their experiences." When Lily woke up, I found her sitting on her bed, looking through her photo album, the one we'd created together that documented our journey as a family. There were pictures of the day we met, her adoption day, birthdays, vacations, ordinary moments that became extraordinary because we shared them. "What are you looking at, sweetheart?" I asked, sitting beside her. "Our family book," she said, quietly. I was making sure it's still real. "It's the most real thing in the world," I assured her, putting my arm around her small shoulders. "More real than blood?" she asked, looking up at me with those serious eyes. "Blood is just biology. Lily, family is about who loves you, who shows up for you, who makes you feel safe and valued. That's what's real." She nodded slowly, then pointed to a photo of Brian holding her on his shoulders at the zoo, taken just months before he left. "Is Daddy still real family?" I took a deep breath. "Daddy will always be connected to you, but real family is also about choices, choosing to be present, choosing to protect each other. Sometimes people make choices that take them away from family." That afternoon, I drafted a formal email to the entire Williams family: Jeffrey, Margaret, Brian, James, and Veronica. I needed to set clear boundaries moving forward, and I wanted there to be no misunderstandings about where I stood. After careful consideration, I've made some decisions regarding Lily's relationship with the Williams family. Until further notice, Lily will not be visiting the Williams home unsupervised. Any future interactions will need to be in public places or at our home, with me present. Before any visits can resume, I will need acknowledgement of the inappropriate treatment Lily received, and a sincere commitment to change. This includes 1. Recognition that Lily is equal in every way to any biological grandchild. 2. No comments that distinguish her as adopted or not real family. 3. Equal treatment, privileges, and expectations as compared to Sophie. 4. Respect. For her as an individual with her own personality and needs, these boundaries are non-negotiable and are established to protect Lily's emotional well-being. I hope that in time, we can rebuild trust and create a healthy family dynamic that includes all children equally. The responses came in over the next few days. Jeffrey sent a terse 3-line reply. "You're being overly dramatic. We've always treated Lily appropriately given her circumstances. When you're ready to be reasonable, we can talk." Margaret's email was longer, but no more understanding. "I'm deeply hurt that you would accuse us of not loving Lily. Of course we love her. But you have to understand that our connection to Sophie is different. Not better, just different. We've known her since birth and share a biological bond. I'm sorry if that reality hurts your feelings, but it's natural." Brian didn't respond at all. James sent a non-committal message. "Let's all take some time to cool down. Family conflicts happen, but we shouldn't let them divide us permanently." Veronica's response surprised me. "I understand your position completely, and support your decision. To protect Lily, I've struggled with how Sophie is treated differently too. She's being given unhealthy ideas about privilege and entitlement. Maybe this wake-up call is what everyone needs. Please know that I value my relationship with both you and Lily, and I'm here if you need anything. I printed the emails and added them to a folder I'd started. Documentation of everything that had happened, including photos, text messages, and my own detailed account of events. I hoped we'd never need it, but as Dr. Amara had advised, always keep records when dealing with family situations that might escalate. That Thursday, Lily and I attended the adoptive family support group. The community center room was filled with about 15 families, some with young children, others with teens, representing diverse backgrounds and adoption stories. Diane, the mom who had invited us, welcomed us warmly. Everyone here understands what it means to build a family through love rather than biology, she explained, and all of us have faced challenges from people who don't get it. As the parents shared their experiences, I felt a weight lifting. Here were people who immediately understood our situation without judging or questioning. One father described his mother-in-law's persistent reference to his son as her adopted grandson, rather than simply her grandson. A single mother talked about relatives who offered to babysit her biological children, but always had excuses when it came to her adopted daughter. While we talked, the children played together in an adjoining room supervised by volunteers. When I picked up Lily afterward, she seemed lighter somehow. "Did you have fun?" I asked as we walked to the car. "Ava's grandma calls her my chosen one instead of my adopted one," she told me. "And Tyler's family celebrates his gotcha day when they became a family. Can we do that?" "We absolutely can," I promised, making a mental note to plan something special for the anniversary of her adoption. My parents called that evening from Arizona, where they'd retired 5 years earlier. They'd always been supportive of Lily's adoption, but living across the country meant their relationship with her was primarily maintained through video calls and annual visits. "We've been thinking," my mother said after I updated them on the situation. "What if we moved closer? We've been looking at condos in your area anyway, and this seems like a sign that it's time." "You'd move back for us?" I was touched by their offer. "Family supports family," my father said simply. "And Lily is our granddaughter, period. We want to be there for both of you." The contrast between their attitude and the Williams couldn't have been more stark. At work the following week, I faced unexpected pushback about my emergency leave. My direct supervisor was supportive, but the department director made several passive-aggressive comments about personal problems, interfering with professional responsibilities. During a tense meeting, he remarked, "When most people have family emergencies, it's because someone is in the hospital, not because of hurt feelings." I met his gaze directly. "My daughter experienced discrimination and neglect from people who should have protected her. That may not seem like an emergency to you, but her psychological well-being is my priority." Later that day, my supervisor pulled me aside. "Is everything okay with Lily? My sister was adopted, and I know how complicated family dynamics can get." His unexpected understanding opened the floodgates, and I found myself sharing the whole story. When I finished, he nodded thoughtfully. "You know, my parents divorced when I was 10, and my mom remarried a man with 2 kids. My grandparents treated us differently. They're real grandchildren versus the step-grandchildren. 40 years later, and my stepsister still talks about how much that hurt." "How did your family handle it?" I asked. "My mom did exactly what you're doing. She protected us by limiting contact and setting firm boundaries. Eventually, my grandparents came around, but it took time and a willingness to change on their part." His support meant more than he could know. In a world that often questioned the legitimacy of families like ours, every ally mattered. That weekend, I took Lily to a local event for adoptive families, a picnic organized by the support group. As we spread our blanket on the grass, I watched her cautiously approach a group of children playing nearby. A girl about Lily's age spotted her and waved her over. "Do you want to play tag? I'm Zoe. I was adopted from foster care too." Watching Lily's face light up at finding someone with a similar story was like witnessing a flower turning toward the sun. By the end of the afternoon, she had exchanged information with 3 new friends and had been invited to a birthday party the following weekend. On our way home, Lily asked, "Can these be our new family? The people who understand?" "Family can be whoever makes your heart feel at home," I told her. "We're building our village, one person at a time." The Williams family continued their campaign of pressure over the following weeks. Jeffrey left stern voicemails about tearing the family apart. Margaret sent increasingly emotional texts about how much they missed Sophie and Lily playing together. Brian finally broke his silence with a curt message. "My parents raised 2 successful sons. Maybe you should consider their parenting wisdom instead of cutting them off." I maintained my boundaries with calm determination. "When you're ready to acknowledge the harm done and commit to treating Lily with equal love and respect, we can discuss moving forward," became my standard response. Meanwhile, our chosen family grew stronger. My parents found a condo just 10 minutes from our house and began the moving process. The support group became a regular part of our routine. Lily's therapist noted improvements in her self-esteem and security. "She's talking more about her feelings," Dr. Amara observed, "and she's starting to understand that the problem lies with others' perceptions, not with her worthiness." We created new traditions to replace the family gatherings we'd lost: Sunday brunches with friends, monthly movie nights with other adoptive families, video calls with my parents where they read bedtime stories to Lily from across the country until their move was complete. Slowly, our world rebuilt itself, different from before but stronger, more intentional, filled with people who recognized Lily's inherent value without qualification or comparison. "Sometimes," I told her one night as I tucked her in, "the family you choose is more precious than the family you're born into, because chosen family loves you for exactly who you are." Lily thought about this, her fingers absently stroking her stuffed elephant's worn ear. "Then I'm glad you chose me." "Mommy?" "Best choice I ever made," I whispered, and knew with absolute certainty that it was true. 6 months passed, each day bringing small but meaningful changes in Lily. The nightmares became less frequent. Her shoulders no longer hunched when someone complimented her. She began to speak up in class, according to her teacher. Most tellingly, she stopped asking if every mistake meant she would have to go back. My parents had settled into their condo nearby and established a weekly tradition of Friday night dinners with us. Watching my father patiently teaching Lily to play chess, or my mother gardening with her in their small patio space, I saw what grandparenting should look like: attentive, affirming, delighting in her uniqueness. "You know what Grandpa Tom told me?" Lily announced one evening as I drove her home from their place. "He said I'm smart like you were at my age. He said it's in my heart, not my blood." "Grandpa Tom is very wise," I replied, blinking back tears at my father's perfect explanation. One Saturday morning in early spring, Lily and I were shopping at the farmer's market when I heard a familiar voice call my name. Turning, I saw James standing awkwardly by a produce stand, Sophie clutching his hand. "Madison," he nodded, his expression uncertain. "And Lily. It's good to see you both." "Aunt Madison!" Sophie broke free and ran to hug me. At 9 years old now, she'd grown taller, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She turned to Lily with genuine excitement. "Lily, I've missed you so much. Why don't you come to Grandma?" "And Grandpa's anymore?" James winced visibly at his daughter's innocent question. Lily looked up at me, silently asking how to respond. "We've been busy with other activities," I explained gently to Sophie. "How have you been?" "Good. But it's boring without Lily." She turned to her cousin. Grandma got a new dollhouse that has an elevator and everything. You should come see it. Maybe someday, Lily replied cautiously. James cleared his throat. Sophie, why don't you go pick out some strawberries? Stay where I can see you. Once she was out of earshot, he turned to me. Look, Madison, I owe you an apology. I should have spoken up when I saw how my parents were treating Lily. Veronica's been telling me for months that I was wrong to stay silent. Thank you for acknowledging that, I said, surprised by his admission. My parents… He hesitated. They're struggling with the estrangement. Mom cries a lot. Dad pretends it doesn't bother him, but I can tell it does. I'm sorry they're hurting, but my priority has to be Lily's well-being. He nodded. I understand that now. Would you consider some kind of reconciliation process? Maybe with a family therapist? They've actually agreed to try it. I looked down at Lily, who was listening intently to the adult conversation. That would depend on their willingness to really change, not just go through the motions to get access to Lily again. They miss her, James said simply, more than I think even they expected to. Missing someone isn't the same as respecting them, I pointed out. I know, but it might be a start. I gave him my card. Have them call me if they're serious about family therapy. But I want to be clear. We'll proceed at Lily's pace, not theirs. 2 weeks later, Margaret called. Her voice lacked its usual brisk efficiency, instead sounding hesitant, almost fragile. Madison, Jeffrey and I have been doing some reflection. We'd like to meet with you and that therapist you mentioned, just to talk. I consulted with Dr. Amara, who recommended a colleague specializing in family reconciliation. Dr. Collins has extensive experience with adoption issues and family dynamics. If anyone can facilitate this process effectively, it's her. Our first session was scheduled at Dr. Collins's office, neutral territory. I prepared Lily carefully, explaining that Grandma and Grandpa wanted to talk about what had happened. Will they say I have to go back to their house? She asked anxiously. Absolutely not. You don't have to go anywhere you don't feel safe, I assured her. This is just a conversation, and I'll be with you the entire time. Can I bring Elephant? She asked, referring to her beloved stuffed animal. Of course you can. Jeffrey and Margaret arrived precisely on time, both looking uncomfortable in the casual setting of the therapist's office. Margaret had brought a tin of homemade cookies, a peace offering that felt simultaneously thoughtful and inadequate. Dr. Collins established ground rules immediately. We're here to listen to each other with respect and openness. No interrupting, no dismissing others' feelings as invalid. Madison has agreed to this meeting because there's potential for healing, but that requires honesty from everyone. Jeffrey shifted in his seat. We understand. Dr. Collins turned to Lily. Lily, how did you feel when you were staying at your grandparents' house? Lily clutched Elephant tighter. Small. Like I was in the way. Like I had to be extra good or they wouldn't want me anymore. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. Oh, Lily, we never meant to. Please let her finish, Dr. Collins interjected gently. Lily continued, her voice gaining strength. Sophie got to do fun things, but I had to do chores. Grandma said it was because Sophie was their real granddaughter, and I needed to be grateful they let me stay. Jeffrey's face flushed. That's not exactly… Mr. Williams, Dr. Collins interrupted. Part of this process is hearing Lily's experience without correction or justification. Her feelings are valid, even if they weren't your intention. 4. The next hour, we talked, really talked, about what had happened. I explained the damage their behavior had caused to Lily's sense of security and self-worth. Dr. Collins guided the conversation skillfully, preventing defensiveness from derailing the process. Finally, Margaret spoke directly to Lily. I was wrong, Lily. So wrong. I grew up thinking family was about blood, but that's not true. Family is about love. And I let old-fashioned ideas keep me from loving you the way you deserve. Jeffrey struggled more with direct acknowledgement, but eventually managed to say, "I'm sorry we made you feel less important than Sophie. That was wrong of us." It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a beginning. Dr. Collins suggested a gradual rebuilding of the relationship, starting with short supervised visits in public places, with clear expectations about equal treatment of both girls. Our first attempt was meeting for ice cream at a park. Margaret brought identical gift bags for both Lily and Sophie, books they had each expressed interest in during previous conversations. Jeffrey made a visible effort to engage with Lily, asking about her recent science project with the same interest he showed in Sophie's dance recital. Small steps, imperfect efforts, but movement in the right direction. Brian remained distant, occasionally sending gifts for Lily, but making little effort to be present in her life. Eventually, Lily herself asked if she could stop waiting for him to show up. "If Daddy doesn't want to be my daddy, can I just have you as my mommy?" she asked one night. "You will always have me," I promised. "Nothing will ever change that." As Lily's 9th birthday approached, I planned a celebration with our new extended circle, my parents, friends from the support group, classmates, and yes, cautiously, the Williams family under carefully structured conditions. The day before the party, Lily came to me with a serious expression. "I want to invite Grandma Margaret and Grandpa Jeffrey to my real party. Not just the family. Dinner." "Are you sure, sweetheart? We can keep it separate if that feels safer." She thought about it, then nodded firmly. "I want to try. Dr. Amara says brave isn't not being scared. It's doing something even when you are scared." The party was held at a local children's museum we had rented for the afternoon. When the Williams arrived, there was a moment of awkwardness, as everyone watched to see how they would interact with Lily. Margaret knelt down to Lily's level, something I'd never seen her do before. "Happy birthday, Lily. Thank you for inviting us to your special day." Jeffrey handed her a gift bag. "Your grandmother and I picked this out especially for you." Later, as Lily opened presents surrounded by friends, I watched Margaret's face. For once, her attention was fully on Lily, not divided or distracted. When Lily unwrapped their gift, a telescope she had mentioned wanting months ago, Margaret's smile was genuine. "She remembered," Lily whispered to me in amazement. 1 year after the incident that had torn our family apart, we gathered for a different kind of celebration, the anniversary of Lily's adoption, her family day, as we now called it. We held a small ceremony in our backyard, planting a tree to symbolize how families grow and change but remain rooted in love. The Williams were there, along with my parents, our friends from the support group, and several of Lily's classmates, who had become close friends. During the celebration, Lily stood up unexpectedly. At 9 years old now, she carried herself with a confidence I hadn't seen before. "I want to say thank you to everyone who makes me feel like I belong," she announced. "Especially to my mom, who showed me what real family means." She turned to Margaret and Jeffrey. "And thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, for learning that family isn't about blood, it's about love." Margaret wiped tears from her eyes as Jeffrey cleared his throat repeatedly. Later, as guests mingled in the yard, I overheard Sophie asking Lily about a new friend from school. "This is Maya," Lily introduced them, "and this is my cousin Sophie." "And this is my real mom," she added, reaching for my hand with absolute certainty. Real. Not qualified or explained or justified. Simply real. That night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Do you think Grandma and Grandpa really understand? Now?" "I think they're trying," I answered honestly. "And that's all any of us can do. Keep trying to be better for the people we love." She nodded thoughtfully. "I'm glad you didn't give up on me." "That was never an option," I told her. From the moment I first saw you, you were my daughter. Nothing could ever change that. As I watched her drift off to sleep, I reflected on our journey, the pain that had brought us to this point, but also the healing that had followed. We had lost the family we thought we had, but in its place, we'd built something stronger, more intentional and infinitely more precious. Family isn't defined by blood or birth certificates or legal documents. It's created through countless daily choices to love, protect, and cherish each other. It's standing firm when someone you love is treated as less than. It's creating boundaries that keep everyone safe. It's the willingness to forgive when true change occurs. Most of all, it's the absolute certainty that some bonds can never be broken, not by biology, not by distance, not by the opinions of others. Because real family, true family, is written in the heart. Have you ever had to protect someone you love from family who couldn't see their worth? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of family transformation. Remember, the family we choose, whether through adoption, friendship, or standing by our biological relatives who truly see us. That's the family that helps us become our best selves. Thank you for being part of our journey, and may you find the courage to create the family bonds that nurture your spirit.